This is the modern dumb phone. It's a system to help you take back your attention and kill your screen time. As someone who's gone down the dumb phone rabbit hole and looked into flip phones, really the best dumb phone is the phone that you already have. You just need to customize it to make it work for you and not against you. Old school dumb phones and flip phones aren't really that easy to use in the modern age because a lot of restaurants require you to scan the QR code. Disneyland requires you to download their app, and more concert tickets are going digital only. This allows you to retain the utility of a smartphone without the downsides of compulsive usage or infinite scrolling. To show you what I mean, let me walk you through some of the basic features. So you have a super minimalistic lock screen. I've turned off all notifications except for people reaching out to me. Once you unlock your phone, you also have a super minimalistic setup that doesn't distract you. You can actually make websites like YouTube, Instagram less addicting. So for example, on my YouTube, I've removed thumbnails, so it's more minimalistic. And when I click on a video, there's also no recommended videos in the sidebar, so I'm less likely to get distracted. So if you see my previous videos on this is an updated version with way cheaper apps, no subscription fees, and some updated features. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to set it up for less than $10 on both iOS and Android. If you want to skip to the setup, you can just click on this timestamp right here. But I also want to talk about the benefits of having a setup like this for almost 2 years now. A few years ago, I really struggled with the problem of doom scrolling and spending like way too much time on YouTube rabbit holes on my phone. Like it really negatively impacted my sleep, productivity, social life, and achieving all my goals. There'd be so many days where I feel like the entire day is wasted because I just spent too much time on my phone, or I felt like my attention span was really negatively impacted. But after reading a few books on this, like including books like Atomic Habits, I realized that it's really important to set up your environment to make it work for you and not against you. And so that's what inspired me to really look for the optimal phone setup. And over the past 1 to 2 years, I've made a few modifications, but really the core concepts stay the same, where the phone has only one purpose, and it's to work for me and not against me. And if I find that it's getting more addicting, then it's time to put on more restrictions on my phone. And now that I've been using this for a while, I feel like I really have a healthy relationship with my phone, where a lot of times when I'm going out, I don't even need to really bring it. And now when I go running or when I go work out, I don't even bring my phone. I just bring my iPod Nano and I just listen to music over there. So yeah, I would highly recommend you to try this setup. It's brought me such a high return on investment, where it only took maybe like half an hour to set up, and it has saved me maybe hundreds, if not thousands of hours over the past 1 to 2 years. And if you find yourself spending way more time than you would like on your phone, it's really not your fault. If you look at app designs today, like really most of them are designed to do just one thing, and that's to increase the amount of time you spend on their platforms. To give you an example, the other day I found one of my old phones from 6 years ago, and when I booted it up, it still had all the old apps without being updated. And it was crazy to see how much app designs have devolved into a less functional form. Like, let me show you what MyFitnessPal looks like 6 years ago. This is MyFitnessPal, which is a calorie tracking app. And 6 years ago, it had a super functional UI with just 3 tabs: your home, your calories for the day, and your profile. But today, this is what MyFitnessPal looks like. It has a bunch of dopamine widgets that is trying to make the app more engaging. There's an infinite scrolling feed. Even Google Maps today has an infinite scrolling feed of places. Recently, I even saw an article that said how the comments on Instagram and TikTok change based on what they think you will like the most or what you would engage with the most. So they're literally changing the content to make it more addicting. It's not that social media is inherently bad. Like personally, I've gained a ton of value from YouTube. It's really the dose that makes the poison. It's only when you start to use social media compulsively and you start to watch or consume content that isn't really adding anything to your life that it becomes harmful. And so today it's more important than ever to first find apps that aren't trying to addict you, and two, to set up your phone in a way that makes your phone work for you and not against you. And that's what the modern dumb phone is. So yeah, let me show you how you can set it up on both iOS and Android. I'm gonna show a list of the apps right here with the prices listed out if you just wanna go and set it up for yourself. But basically, there's 5 main steps to make it a functional modern dumb phone. The first thing you want to do is to delete apps. Go through all your apps, see which ones are trying to addict you. Usually they're ones with algorithmic feeds, or they're the ones that you're most addicted to or check compulsively. If they're social media apps like YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, I would also recommend deleting that and only accessing that through the browser. And I'll show you how to optimize the browser to make those apps less addicting. The second thing you want to do is to turn off all your notifications. So I pretty much turn off all notifications except for messages. Like I don't really need to have any news updates or any push notifications from any app really. So I just turn them all off. You kind of have to do that manually in settings for both iOS and Android. After you've done that, then you want to optimize the browser. So a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually install extensions on your phone, both on iOS and Android. And on iOS, you can only install them on Safari. And on Android, you have to download Firefox and install them there. I recommend the app called socialfocus, which costs $3.99 on iOS and it's free on Android. But with this app, it gives you some basic modifications for every social media site like YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn, I think, where you can remove the algorithmic feed, you can remove like recommended content, and they make it more functional and less addicting. For YouTube specifically, the same developer has another app called Untrap for YouTube, which I've also bought. But it allows you to do stuff like remove the thumbnail or remove recommended videos from the sidebar. Like this is what my YouTube looks like on my phone. It's just a list where I'm unlikely to fall into a binging rabbit hole. But now that you've optimized social media on your phone, the next step is to customize your home screen. So personally, I like using a launcher that makes the apps into a list versus icons because it's a little less stimulating and there's no notification badges. And to do this, there's two different apps on iOS and Android. On iOS, I recommend the app Dumbify. So previously in a different video, I recommended this app called Blank Spaces, but it's actually a subscription model and it's more expensive. So Dumbify is only $7 as a one-time payment, and I think it works even better. On Android, you want to install this launcher called olauncher, and it's free. So yeah, it's pretty much free. Everything is pretty much free on Android. Personally, I just like to have a minimalistic feed of just the apps that I want to use on my phone. So there are like books, music, messages, settings, the browser, notes, and maps. And for maps, I don't use Google Maps. I use Apple Maps just because it doesn't have an algorithmic feed. And any app that has an algorithmic feed, I'm like very likely to delete and try to find an alternative for. Like even for tracking calories, I don't use MyFitnessPal anymore because it's just so bloated. I use this one called MacroFactor if you're interested. After you've customized your home screen and lock screen, your phone will pretty much look and operate like a dumb phone right now. But the main thing that tied this whole thing together for me and really killed my screen time was to create a schedule for social media. One of the biggest differences between a actual dumb phone and a smartphone is that on a smartphone, you can fall down many different rabbit holes through the browser and social media. So it wasn't until I blocked the browser and social media on a schedule that I really developed healthier habits with using my phone and dramatically killed my screen time. You can do this with an app called ScreenZen. It's available on both iOS and Android and it's free. And you can just block the browser during certain times of the day where you don't want to be accessing or looking stuff up. There's also a different app called Burnout Buddy on iOS that does the same thing, and it's also completely free if you want to check that out. But for me, what I did is that I blocked social media and the browser during the times when I want to be working or during the times when I don't want to be using my phone. So they're like in the entire morning and in the entire evening, and also the times when I'm doing deep work. So I really only have maybe an hour or so of social media access on my phone that I use day to day. I would recommend setting up a schedule versus doing a time limit, because when you have a time limit or you have one of those apps that make you pause for a few seconds, you still have the habit of checking compulsively before knowing that it's blocked. But if you have it on a schedule, like you know you only can access it between the hours of like 12 p.m. to 7 p.m., then you won't have that compulsive tendency to check your phone during that time. Because I have a social media schedule set up on my phone, during those times I can check it guilt-free. Like I'll go on YouTube, I'll check Twitter, but the rest of the time, the only apps that are available are the ones on the home screen. In my opinion, this is probably one of the most important things to set up to make it a modern dumb phone. Because once you set up these restrictions, you will not have to exercise your willpower or discipline anymore. Your phone will just naturally become a utility device. And one thing I'll say on iOS is that if you block more than 50 apps, it bugs out. And I think that's because of the ScreenTime API. It's like the same thing for every app that I tested. And once you just set that up once, you have the modern dumb phone setup. There's also some additional things that you can do too, like you can make your phone entirely into grayscale on both iOS and Android. And if you're looking for a new iPhone, I would really recommend the iPhone mini with like a matte screen protector. It's like the perfect size for a modern dumb phone. And with the matte screen protector, it makes it feel less like a smartphone. So yeah, I really like the look of this. This is probably one of the hardest things to overcome in our generation. Like, every force is working against us. So it's become more important than ever to make sure we learn how to use technology for us and not against us, and so that we can teach it to others in the future. If you try it out, let me know in the comments below. I also link a blog post that I'm writing where I have a detailed version of how to set this up in case any of the apps become paid or any of the apps stop working. I also make updates on there. But see you in the next video. Let's get it.